Quiet by Nicola Kinnear. There was once a small fox who was very, very quiet. She liked being quiet. It means she noticed all the small things in the forest and could make up wonderful stories about them. The only problem was all her friends were really, really noisy. Whenever Fox tried to tell them one of her stories, they were far too noisy to hear. One day, they were all playing pirates.
Ahoy me hearties!
Hooted Owl.
Shiver me timbers!
Shouted Squirrel. They were the noisiest they had ever been. Suddenly, Raccoon noticed how sad Fox was.
Agasti! Stop!
He shouted, and they did. Fox explained why she was sad.
I really want to tell you a story, but you're all being too noisy.
Her friends were very sorry.
We love stories,
They said.
Tell us one now.
They gathered round, and Fox began.
Once upon a time, there was a bear. A bear?
Shouted Squirrel.
I know. Let's all pretend to be bears. Wait,
Said Fox as the others ran off, roaring.
I haven't finished my story.
But her noisy friends had already dashed up a tree.
We're climbing.
They shouted.
Just like bears. Come on, Fox. Come and be a bear.
But quiet little Fox had noticed something. Some absolutely enormous claw marks.
Shh!
She said.
I really think that might be a real bear.
But her noisy friends had already jumped into the river.
We're splashing.
They shouted.
Just like bears. Come and splash too, Fox.
But quiet little Fox had noticed something else. Some absolutely enormous paw prints.
Shh!
She whispered.
I'm sure there's a bear.
But her noisy friends were already scampering over a bridge.
We're roaring.
They shouted.
Just like bear. Roar!
But quiet little Fox had heard something worrying. A big, deep, rumbly, grouchy growl.
Shh! Quiet.
She said.
I really think there's a bear. Of course there's a bear.
Shouted Squirrel.
We're all bears.
And they carried on roaring. Fox felt the ground shiver and shake. It was definitely a bear. She had to warn her friends, but how could she make them listen? She had have to shout louder than she had ever shouted before.
Be quiet.
Everyone heard her that time. They all stopped shouting. Then Squirrel said,
I don't like being quiet, but there's a bear.
whispered Fox.
Where?
Shouted her friends.
Roar!
Roared the absolutely enormous real bear.
Quick, hide.
Said Fox. She pushed and tumbled and squeezed them inside an old tree trunk.
Help!
Shouted Squirrel.
I'm scared.
Yelled Raccoon.
Hoot!
Hooted Owl, who was too frightened to say anything else.
Shh!
Said Fox.
Listen, there's a strange noise outside. It sounds like someone's crying.
Fox bravely peeped out. To her surprise, she saw tears rolling down the bear's nose. They all tiptoed up to him.
You were so noisy you woke me up.
Cried the bear.
And now I can get back to sleep. Sorry.
Said Squirrel.
We were all being bears.
Then Owl had an idea.
Maybe Fox could tell you a bedtime story. She tells really good stories. Oh, yes!
said Raccoon.
Tell us the story how you found the bear.
So Fox began.
Once upon a time, there was a fox who was very, very quiet. Because she was quiet, she noticed all the small things in the forest, and that's how she spotted the claw marks and the paw marks of the great sleepy bear.
As Fox told her story, everyone listened very quietly. They laughed at the funny bits. They shivered at the scary bits,
And then,
said Fox.
when the story was over, all her friends yawned and stretched, and they fell fast asleep, just like bears.
The end.